Okay, welcome to yet another P1391 Jeep Cherokee or similar crank position sensor failure videos. This one's a little different though. I don't really plan to have a soundtrack, but the important thing about this is that there's a clue as to the actual problem that can be found whenever you start the car listening to the radio. Okay, and I don't know if you can hear it, but it's, okay, it sounds like crap. The idle is lumpy. If I took it out and drove it, trust me, it would backfire and stutter and just barely drag itself home. So it is missing. It is showing a P1391. That's all it's showing. However, I have replaced the crank position sensor and still had the issues. That led me to think that maybe I had lost my ground on the engine, as that can cause all kinds of problems. But that would also explain the static on the radio, perhaps. The quickest way to check to see if you've lost your ground strap is to use a voltmeter, which right now is set at, it's just a DC voltmeter. And I'm going to go from the negative battery terminal, important that it's the battery's terminal, not the cable clamp itself, although they're the same right here, to an engine. And then I measured the voltage, and 4.6 millivolts, that's thousandths of a volt. That's insignificant. That's not a problem. Where I did find the problem was I just happened to go ahead and check the battery voltage while I was in the neighborhood and see that it's only generating 11.6 volts with the engine running. Now it should be 13.5, 13.8 with a working alternator, so obviously something is going wrong there. Right, one of the cool features of this meter, other than its ability to do DC amps with a clamp, which is a huge time saver when you're chasing problems, is that it remotes to via Bluetooth to a phone. So I can actually start the meter here remotely, and you can see it's reading 11.61 both places. Okay, radio's on, headlights are on, put them on bright. You can see the charging system indicator did eventually come on. The voltage has dropped to 11.2. Oh, make that 10.9. The AC is on a cold day in Arizona, cycling on and off, and the idle is getting progressively lumpier and lumpier. Although it really hasn't presented itself as a real problem yet. It certainly would if I tried to drive it. So the clues here all point to the alternator, and I'm going to turn this off. And what you're hearing through the radio is not the crank position sensor. It's only got 5 volts going to it. It's not going to, there's nothing in it that's going to produce radio interference. I think what we're hearing is bad diodes in the alternator, which can produce voltage spikes into your electrical system, which will affect everything that runs on electricity. In this case, the radio, which is a cheap aftermarket radio, and it's picking up the spikes either through the radio itself or through just its electric connection to the vehicle. And the CPM, apparently the crank position monitor and the circuit that it is connected to is apparently sensitive to that kind of thing, as well as low voltage. So it all makes sense. So the fix is to replace the alternator. Happily, I ordered one last night, had it shipped regular, cheap, $10 or $11 shipping, and since it's only coming from Tucson, it was here this morning, which is awesome. Okay, and there it is in a box that looks like it's probably been opened before, but I'll reserve judgment until we take it out. And of course, I get my obligatory magnetic stick-on and add it to my ever-growing collection. And as always, before climbing under the car and getting greasy and all that, do look at the back. Make sure that the configuration is the same, which I believe it is, but I'm going to check that out now. And that sure looks exactly the same, so we're good to go. Okay, the belt is now properly tensioned with this one, and of course I tightened down the 15mm bolt in the front of the tensioner so that it does hold its place and holds it in position, and ready to put the battery back in. Okay, battery is back in place, reading a healthy 12.13 volts. Next step is to do the acid test of trying to start it up. Okay, and she's purring like a kitten, idling smooth. You notice I'm not even on a station, and there's barely any static at all. That's just regular AM radio static. The voltage is back up to 14 volts at idle. Fixed the problem. Disconnecting the battery cleared the code, so I don't even have a check engine light anymore or alternator light. So all good to go. So yes, indeed, it was a bad alternator putting out dirty voltage that was messing with the CPS, the crank position sensor, and the associated circuitry, plus messing up my AM radio. So there you go. Hope it helps. Hope it helps somebody find a problem that they've been chasing.